på så här. Thank you for being here. Capiche, we're not only the next door neighbors with Foo. We are sitting on Lokgatan here, 200 meters away. What we do is actually using the power of graph data for investigating and exploring scientific data. And our main field is clinical data and life science. And we are looking for full stack developers. So if you are good at .NET and React and TypeScript, please approach me in the break.
Yeah. So what we are going to do, we will use this microphone for people who ask here for live streaming, because we also live stream this. So if you have a question, please use this microphone while you are talking. So before I actually start the presentation, I want to also say, hey, I'm running DevOps Malmö. What we do, we usually get cool people and organize nice meetups. So we share the knowledge, and it's non-profitable community. So we have never got any krona earned. What we do is basically we share. Okay, so this is about DevOps Malmö group and HashiCorp Malmö group. If you are looking for us, just Google about that. You can easily find me. And I will have in a slide about my LinkedIn. So if you have some cool ideas what to speak next, so please come to talk to us. We have more meetups coming. The one will be in 7th of March. All right, so now as a group organizer, I want to introduce also today's speaker, and that's again me. Yeah, and my name is Karen, so I will be the presenter for today, and I will speak about HashiCorp Vault. Before we speak about HashiCorp Vault, I want to thank Capiche. It has been like a really long time that Capiche is sponsoring our events, so please, if you have some good developers, yeah, Capiche. And I want to thank HashiCorp as well to help me to craft this beautiful presentation, and also today you will get some gifts. All right, so let's get started with today's presentation. And there is a small disclaimer I want to share. So it is not necessarily approved what I speak today by HashiCorp or by my team, Devo team, where I work for. It is my personal opinion. This is what I do. This is what I shared. I do what I do, all right? So this is how it is going. And for live stream people, if you are looking, so later we will look at the comments. So they will check for the comments and they will speak to me. So feel free to write your comments. We will get to them. Good, so what to expect? So today is gonna be a really intense presentation. So we will have a little bit of thinking time, so we will see what is the business value of HashiCorp Vault, how it can help your organization, and etc. So after that, when we know about what is the business value and etc., we will go to do a little bit of demo, and then I will show you a very basic of it, and then I will try to do a Go application, so to understand how is it actually working in real life. So if you are a techie person, we will go there, okay? So just wait a little bit. And then at the end, what is gonna happen? We will see how skilled we are to share some gifts. There is gonna be some swags and gifts, starting from the stickers, which you can find a little bit outside there in the circle table. So there is some stickers you can find. And good thing to know, there is a sticker with Skåne on it. It's a very unique one, so only we have that, all right? Nowhere else in the world they have it, okay? Super unique crop, okay. Good, so let's get started. So let's speak about what is HashiCorp Vault. So HashiCorp Vault is a identity-based secret and encryption management system. And like secret can be anything, thinking about the API, password, tokens, and etc. Okay? So, when we speak about HashiCorp Vault, let's imagine like a traditional distributed infrastructure where you have basically 4 elements to describe it. Like you will have some operation, either it's going to be like a cloud or your private cloud or some virtual servers. Then you have a security layer, somewhere to connect, so your infrastructure, application, and deployment. So Vault will cover the part of security, so it will help you to secure your infrastructure and applications. All right? Good. So before we start about speaking solution, let's get back a little bit in a time and understand how has this been so necessary. So back then you had like traditional data centers where you have like a single server with one cable, and if something is really bad happening into your infrastructure security, just cut the cable and that's it. All right? But moving further with like advanced like dynamic infrastructure, there is more challenges to face. Things like, hey, I have my hybrid cloud, multi-cloud, and etc. So what is actually happening? Then you have this static infrastructure where you can have high trust networks. You can say, hey, my application has IP and my network design is making sure that only IPs can talk to each other. But when you move to dynamic infrastructure, that's not the case. So it is really harder to say, hey, I have an IP that can talk to each other. And there you move also with the advanced technology where you want to say, hey, I want to build low trust, or I like to call it zero trust network, where you do not trust anything. So your application has to have identity, authorization. So I do not trust anything, none of them, okay? So that's how you start to approach the new infrastructure. So let's speak about how the static environment will be advanced in the, like when you go to multi-cloud or hybrid cloud. Usually you had some core infrastructure, some security around it, and some application where you say, hey, this is my authentication, and that's it, all right? It was very easy to understand and very easy to operate because it was one server with application and etc. But when you move to more advanced scenarios, like, hey, I want to have my private cloud with the multi-regions and etc., then you start to face, hey, but how this security is extending with like multiplying my data centers, multiplying my clouds, and how do I approach it? And it's not the only question. So there is also more question like, how do I secure my network? So, and you know, like when you had like a typical data center, you could just say, hey, this is my ingress. There is one LAN cable. Everything is going through one IP. I can control it. But when you go to like a public cloud or like your private cloud, it is really harder to control it. So, and mainly if you work with public clouds, good luck to have one single ingress to your entire infrastructure. There is not going to happen, something like that. Good. So beside that, then you have also questions like, hey, but what happens with my secrets? How do I store them? I have a bunch of secrets. I have a bunch of API tokens. I have a bunch of like certificates. How do I store them in my private cloud? How do I store them in public cloud? And of course, as lastly, so if my security is breached, how is data protected? Yeah, these are the typical questions every organization is asking. So, and then you can imagine the questions when you multiply, when you go for multi-cloud and hybrid cloud at the same time. So the same questions is multiplied, and it's so many questions to answer. So there is a nice thing that can solve a part of it, and that's HashiCorp Vault. And I choose to speak about Vault because it's one of my favorite tools, and that helps not only organization, also for private to develop also like some security skills and how to approach it. Good. So let's speak about some business challenges. Usually when I speak about like technology, like we don't do technology because it's technology. We do technology because it brings some value. Either it brings some business value or it brings some productivity to team. So if you are going to just deploy a technology because of technology and there is no use case, what is the point of having a technology? Like maybe you better deploy something that is necessary for your organization to do some changes. So with typical approaches of organization or typical issues that we share among all organizations is a plain text configuration file in repository, a secret to application, a secret that is shared in FTP server, a secret that is shared in Slack, because we chat it's easy for me. I just share the secret with you. And like, I don't know, Skype or something. So this is a typical pain we all share. The next thing is also, hey, I have a private cloud where I do a different way of hashing or cryptographic operations, or I have a different secret. But when the new team came in, they implemented like AWS or Azure, whatever, they have a completely different way of doing things. So where I'm going to do it, like people are usually lost there. And of course, when you go for multi-cloud or hybrid cloud, then you also increase the risk of data exposures because people are doing differently in different places. So how can Vault help you to address these business challenges is basically take away all the configuration from repositories, store them in Vault. We have a great demo where I can also show you a little bit more advanced version where you also don't share any database credentials, but later it will come. And then, of course, it will increase productivity and efficiency because it's not only made for technical people, so there is a CLI and API where the tech people are more comfortable with, but it's also good for product managers or people who like UI. That's me. I'm a browser engineer. I do not like to do any command line. And you will see throughout this presentation, I do everything in browser. I'm best browser engineer ever, all right? So let's speak about, we speak about business challenges and business values. There is also something we need to understand. So when I have a issue that has a radius within the organization. So imagine an organization as a circle, and my issue is a small circle within the organization. If I bring some solution, it shouldn't shift the issue to some other department. I do not have to say, this is not my issue anymore. So the application has to have like nice principles that it solves the issue within this circle, or it at least makes it way smaller. So the example will be like, hey, Vault is helping me to have it in API driven. Okay, in organization, I have people who write in Python, C, .NET, and someone has invented his own language. What is the great thing about Vault is it's API driven. So if I bring any other solution that is supporting Python and .NET, the other guys are opt out. So basically, I move the issue within my circle to someone else. But that's what we don't want to do. We want to solve it within our circle and make it even smaller. So make the issue to disappear, not share it within the other business units. The other great thing is like, hey, but there is already existing business. So we have like Google Cloud, we have AWS, we have Azure. Everyone has something. Everyone has some user management, Active Directory, or whatsoever. So the thing here is the business is going. I cannot just jump into the business and say, hey, let's change entire business. That's not what it's happening. That's why also Vault is crazy good in this sense. So because it has a great integration within other identities. And last thing, which is I love a lot, is it helps to secure your databases. And imagine this, all right? So let's speak about the software engineering 20 years back. Okay, what has changed in 20 years? Nothing, nothing. All what we did is we create a code, we ship it somewhere, yeah, zip it, tar it, whatever. We ship it somewhere, and then we execute, okay? That's what we have done. Nothing has changed within these 20, 30 years. Only thing we change is the tooling. So we have now this fancy tooling, containers, and et cetera, and et cetera. Idea has never changed. You code something, you ship it somewhere, you execute. But again, when you execute, you need to store the data. So I'm a user, I go to your web page, I type my username, whatsoever, I want to log in, okay? So the theory of saving data has also not changed. It's just become more advanced, more nice, more fast, but the theory hasn't changed. And that's what you basically do. So you have an application, and you need the data. And the data has to be stored somewhere. And usually people do some data warehousing, some database, or et cetera. And the biggest pain point right now is database. what I see in my experience is people want to secure database. And that's where Vault is really good. I will have like a really good example. So just wait for it. Another crazy thing about Vault is we spoke about business use cases where it can help with business challenges and etc. But most of people here probably are more technical people, and they are like, hey, what it brings us technically, okay? So there is 3 main cases that I pick up. There is more cases, but these 3 are really my favorite ones. So then it's helping you with the secret management. It helps you with encrypting application data and identity-based access. We will talk about each of them separately. And usually when I talk about Vault technical part, people just come to me and say, hey, can I use Vault as one password or LastPass? I have a really great example of my code is really messed, but it works. Some things are not designed for it. So Vault is, you can use still Vault to store your user data, like user secret, but it is not designed for, okay? So just remember about that. Vault is more for the server-to-server, application-to-application. You can still fly, but like, yeah, you get the point, all right? So, okay. So let's speak about a little bit about the secret management of it. So here, there is like plenty of them, and I want to focus on the second one, dynamic secrets. And these dynamic secrets, I think it was 5 or 6 years ago when they announced about dynamic secret. Basically, your database doesn't have any user. What's the pain usually you get is, I have created one application for my X team, and this X team has worked on it. After 3 years, we discontinue this application. What is happening? The users are still existing in database. That's a typical case. And what it can help you with is like they basically create a user on fly for you. So your database doesn't hold a user. It is created on fly for you for a limited time of period. So you can specify a time to leave parameter to it, and then basically after whatever time it's vanished. Another great thing about Vault Agent, if you are a Kubernetes fan, this is really good for you to know that there is a Vault Agent, and there is a good example for how to store it in Kubernetes to not duplicate the fetching of the token. So this is really great thing as well for Kubernetes users. So let's speak about the data encryption. And here is also one of the great examples. Hey, I am a product manager. I don't care if you use like API, CLI, whatever. I just have plain text. I want to upload it somewhere that it will be encrypted and secret, okay? And secure. So I don't care. So it's your problem. You are the like technical people. I'm product manager. This is how I work. So solve it for me. That's where it's really good. So where you can do an API-driven encryption, and in Vault UI you can do as well. So we will go through Vault UI as well. And identity-based access is actually one of the biggest pain points that people usually don't realize. So imagine a company where you have Azure and AWS and GCP, okay? So what is happening? You get 3 identities. So what I have seen in my career that I spend more time to finding my access rather than I program. So I spent like an hour to find where was my access, and I spent like 20 seconds to just press something. Yeah, so that's where also Vault is really handful. So it has this great thing called entities. So you can actually create an entity and then assign all your permissions to one account. And that's where I also want to mention the entities is really great in the identity ones. Good, so I spoke about that I'm browser engineer, and what I like to do is I'm a person who focuses on the business value. So what I want to do is I want to bring business value. I am running e-commerce, I'm running data systems. I don't want to care about secrets. That I give to someone else. If you think alike, there is the HashiCorp cloud platform, and where you can have Vault as well. So, but don't think about that HashiCorp cloud platform, yeah, paid and etc. HashiCorp is not promoting the paid ones. Like they have everything open source. So if you want to do it open source or your on-prem environment, there is a HashiCorp Enterprise. You have HashiCorp cloud platform, and as well open source. And they are in the application level identical. So you can just use any of them. But the good thing about the HashiCorp cloud platform is it's just push button deployment. It's just, I love this. So I go to browser, I don't care whatsoever. I just select my Vault cluster, and then I say, hey, I want a dev cluster, standard cluster, and production, and let them to solve it for me. So all I do, I use my browser. So you will see throughout this course, I will mention a lot about browser development. Good. And when I spoke about this, so usually people try to start with always a high price, higher something, but my general advice is do not start with something really with a high price or something. Start with something very simple. Go with something standard, development, something, try to set up, try to see if it brings a business value for you. Try to see if it solves the problems that you have before committing to something else. And with your organization complexity, you can actually go and add more tiers to your solution. Good. Of course, there is a performance replication as well in HashiCorp Cloud. So if you have, let's say, a need for doing multi-regional deployment, multi-regional tokens, so you can also use the performance. And this is one of the great parts. So if you are a product owner, product manager, project manager, this is great for you because Vault has UI. So even though it's very technical, very CLI and API driven, there is a UI for it. And we will use it as well in the demo part. So as a very simple example, you have this nice, very basic interface where you can just navigate, go through the policies and etc. You can use some tools. And not only for product owner, I'm a relatively technical guy. I use UI all the time. So it's just because in browser, I don't care about the APIs and etc. And of course, you can also use some secret backends and etc. Good. So let's speak very quickly about how Vault architecture will look like, because this is at the end a little bit of technical presentation as well. How you would start with Vault. Typically, I mentioned, start with something very small. Do not start to deploy like clusters, replication, disaster recovery. Start with something very basic. And that will be your dev environment. And HashiCorp Vault is it's written in Golang, and it has it is a single binary application. So all you need to do, download the single binary anywhere and just run it. And then more you go, more you start to do it advanced. So if you ever have a chance to do a deployment for a staging, then usually go for a standby and an active node and some console. And I will not mention console like separately. It's a complete different application that will require another 45 minutes. But a good thing to remember, there is a really good key value storage that can help you with architecture. And then, of course, for prod, you want to have a little bit more. And then even if one of your regions is out, you still have a chance to get the secrets and etc. Good? So let's speak very quickly about the replication, performance replication. So usually people, when they are moving to a larger organization, then you have a lot of requests coming to your Vault, where you want to send how your policies and etc. So you basically start with this 2 clusters, and then you make sure that your clients will have a very easy way to access it. Of course, it has all these nice features like every replication has. Is one of them is not responding, it will send to other one, and etc. and etc. And if it's back, it will synchronize. And again, it can select a leader if your leader cluster is dead. Good. Disaster recovery. So because replication is will never replicate the tokens, and that's where the disaster recovery is really good. So when you have a Vault cluster, then you then you probably want to have a disaster recovery replication where you share your access and token. So when you go to very large organization, this is a typical way of doing a really good Vault deployment. Then you have different region deployments of Vault clusters with disaster recovery replication. Again, this is very complex deployment. If you want to start, again, let's go back to it. You start with very basic. Start with the open source. Try to set up it. And then with the organization complexity, you can apply. And this is applying to Vault Enterprise as well. So if you say, hey, I don't want to use open source. I don't want to use cloud. I want to use in my on-prem. There is a HashiCorp Vault Enterprise as well. Good. So everyone was like, but we want to see it, no? So this is a time when we are going to do this. And this is the probably first time ever you will be in a meetup that you might get homework, okay? So what we are going to do is we are going to use my public gist. So let's see if I can just open it. Open in new tab, in new window, yes. So what we are going to do, this is like a public gist, so and this is my username, so there is nothing wrong with any username, so don't complain about that. It is free of choice. I choose this one, so choose your. And then what we are going to do is basically I will run through the public gist. So if you skip one of the parts, you can have a homework of this, so you can go home and try it by your own, okay? What we are going to do, very basic, so we will do a setup of HashiCorp Vault dev environment. We will learn about the policies. We will get around the token. And then at the end, we have the Go app. We will do it, okay? So we will go through this. If you want to share with your friends and etc., feel free. You can have it as homework as well. Good. So I just need to move a little bit away so I can see what I'm doing. And again, I mentioned a lot of times about browser engineering. What can be like even more nicer to just have something to run in browser? And I am very good in Google Cloud, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use Google Cloud, and there is this Cloud Shell, which is a really nice thing. So browser, just get something like a pod or an instance. So that's what we are going to do as well. Everything on browser, so no command line whatsoever. It's a Debian machine, so if you have a Debian machine, just use it. All right, so what we are going to do is we will start with a very basic one. So we just download the binary. And in this case, I will install because there is a package available for Debian. So let's go for it. And before it doing an installation, is there any questions so far? Yeah, go ahead.
I was thinking about we were talking about console. Microphone. Oh, sorry.
That's correct. Is this the microphone? Yeah. Okay. Okay. Let's try.
So I was thinking when you were talking about console, is that a dependency for Vault, or what role does console play?
Yep.
Actually.
Yeah. So basically, it is not a dependency. You are free to choose your backend. It is in this example, it is a console because it's from HashiCorp itself, and it's really supported to do highly available deployment. If you know what you do with the backend storage, if you are confident on what you are doing, feel free to choose it. It's completely open for you.
What are the other backend options available?
I have HashiCorp people here, so I need help for them because I have done only and only with console. So maybe Emil can also help us.
Yeah. So yeah, console is a great backend. It plugs in very well with Vault, but the Vault itself also supports a Raft backend. So the Raft protocol can be used as a backend. So it's more of a local backend and supports the same functionality as Vault will do with active-passive failover. And yeah, if you know what the Raft protocol is.
Yeah. And I mean, in the early early days when we started to test, like maybe 6, 7 years ago, when it was very early product stage of Vault, we just do it in a local file system. So just do it there before you understand what's going on. But yeah, so a local, there was like a mounted disk. So we just do it mounted disk. But then at the end we realize, okay, then we have at least single point of failure with Vault and console. No, sorry, the Vault and the data, because then usually they are in the same place and etc. But what we have found out there was greater that we use console, and console we deploy in a separate machine. So if this machine is dead, still the console was up, so the only matter was to add another Vault, and we can just connect the backend again. So that was one of the great things. Okay, so our Vault environment is there, so let's do a test. Vault status. So there we go. And this is dev environment. Usually when you are in the production, you will need to unseal it. You have a keys and etc. And unseal is another topic to speak. But I don't have that much time to speak about unseal. So this is dev. We just do, like it's a jungle style. Just do whatever we can. Okay? So let's speak about the policies before we apply policies. Usually policies are used to control who has access to what. And the great thing of Vault is it is very similar to Linux folder structure. So you can basically say, hey, if I give you access to secrets foo, then the secrets foo and foo bar will be accessed. Then you can specify like operators like asterisk, and you can say starting from cafe and etc. I just give an asterisk, so everything everything under the path is free to have access. You can also specify like dash asterisk. You can say, hey, I just want to specify something at dash. And that will help you also to get some something to solve. And then, of course, there is this plus operator, which I find really nice. Let's say if I have team A, B, and C, and each of them has access to Google Cloud. So what I want to do is I just say, hey, a plus and a Google Cloud secret. So any team that has a Google Cloud secret, I can actually access it. It's really crazy when you look at the technology of this. It's really nice. And of course, you can specify plus plus. I'm not sure if you can continue with plus 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 plus. Not sure, but like at least the two of them is there. And of course, if you want to go real more advanced, then you can also use these identities. And there is a very big documentation about which identities and how you can specify. So the use case of this is like, hey, I want only me to access this secret. So if I know my identity, I can specify it here. And based on that, I can access whatever. Yeah? Good. So what we are going to do is we are going to create an example policy. An example policy will have some capabilities to do, create, read, whatsoever in the path secrets. And some other, okay? We don't need to focus, it's a demo, Django style, we just do, all right? If you want to learn about more, so it's public gist, so you can just go home and do it. Good. So, let's see if the file is created. Oh, but usually, let's call it Foo Café, because usually you need to do some nice foldering, no? So, and then let's do the paste. Yeah. So what we are going to do is just the example is there. So how do you create a policy? With a command line or an API? So we are command line here. So the policy has created, so we can actually do a policy list. So Vault policy list. You can see there is a default one, which is always there. The root one that you cannot modify. And actually the one that we just created, okay? Good. So what we can do is we want to create a user that can have access to it. So, and that's my user, so don't complain about user. And of course we can do it because I didn't enable the Vault engine for user and password. Let me see. Good. So I'm creating a user and password, and it's there. Good. So what is going to happen? So you can create a token based on the policies and etc. We will create them later when we move a little bit on the token part. So, and of course you can delete the policy if it's not used anymore. But what I want to do also, I want to show you some nice thing. Change the port, so it's 8200. Ah, nice. So we have the UI, the browser engineering. So let's create a token. So Vault create a token. So it will create for me a root token. What? Maybe token create? Yep. Ah. Why it doesn't have the AI to understand what I want and shuffle it? So, I mean, it's 2023. What is happening? Yeah, change it, man. Ah, doesn't help. Okay, this is my token. And what I'm going to do is just paste it here. So I have access to it. Good. So this is my Vault. And I can just see there is the example policy, the same what we have created. And the good thing is, if I'm not satisfied with these policies, just edit it. A browser, man. So add something. Let's add create. Because I don't care about what you do in the CLI. I just update it. So browsers. This is browsers for the win. Good. Okay, so let's move on. Let's speak about the tokens. And tokens separate is a really big topic. And the good thing about HashiCorp Vault is the documentation is really nice. I like it a lot. I have never seen an application this good documented, and mainly for basic stuff. Maybe there is some lacking of very advanced stuff, but very basic stuff, very beginning is really good. And I have also forwarded you from here some documentation. If you want to master your skills, you can read them. And the good thing to remember is there is usually two types of tokens. It's a service token or batch token. Service token is used for creating, adding policies, and etc. Batch token is used for mainly application. And batch token is not saved in the Vault. It is an in-memory token, so it is very fast token. So you just specify this batch token. It's retrieving some information, died, gone, okay? And this is very good when you use an application that has like million requests and etc. Batch token is very useful because it's in-memory token. Good? So, and then there is some information about how they syntax it and etc. But what we are going to do is we are going to create each of the tokens separately. And to remember, the service tokens has 4 different type of how the token can be created. One of them is the limit token. So we will create a token that has a maximum use of 2 times. So this token can be used only 2 times. Otherwise, it's not used anymore. So I will just copy this part. So let's move. So let's create a token. It is created. And then let's say, hey, let's generate something in cubbyhole. So let me see. Something is there. I want to read that. Wait, I can just double click it. Yes. So, enter. What is happening next time if I request? Bang. It is double time used. So this is a great thing of Vault. You can specify how many times the token can be used. Next one will be the periodic one or like infinite duration token. So, yep. Microphone, yes. And make sure it's enabled, so it has to be like up, I think.
You run this in multi-setup, like replicated setup. Are there any guarantees that this will be enforced on all the different
Yeah, so
servers?
there is 2 types of replication. There is a performance replication where the tokens and accessors are not replicated. The other one is the disaster recovery replication. And in disaster recovery replication, they make sure that the tokens and accessors are replicated. Yeah. So if your main vault is dead, then the disaster recovery can help you to get them back. Maybe Emil has more? No? That's what we know. Good. That's what we know. Okay, the next one will be the periodic token. So instead of using it limited time, maybe I want to use it unlimited time as far as it's refreshing. So if I refresh my token, that's what I also want to see. So let's go. So that's how I create. And as you can see, there is a difference between them. So if you try to examine the information, you can see here, number of users 2 and number of users is 0, which means as far as it's refreshed, you can use them. There is some default TTL, like 24 hours, because we specify. Within 24 hours, if you don't refresh it, then it will be expired. But if you continue refreshing, it's indefinite time of usage. The other one is a very short-lived token, and I have to be really fast here because I have specified 5 seconds, and within 5 seconds, if I don't access it, it will be gone. So let's see if I'm that fast. So I create a token. I can still access it, and there we go. It's revoked, and this message is because I put the dev cluster in the background, so it just throws some info. So this is how it is. So you can also specify a timing on it. Good. And the last one is the orphan token, which is like a root token for itself. So basically, you also have a root token where it has the indefinite time, and it never expires. But the best practice is to get rid of root token and instead create different tokens than a root one, because then it's the single token that can access everything. So just to make sure that we also understand the difference between this one, so let's execute. And as you can see, where is it? Yeah, so I don't remember where it is, but you can see if it's orphan or not. And I don't know where it was, but there was, here, orphan, true. So that means it doesn't have any child tokens and etc. So, last thing I want to do is to also show you a little bit about the batch tokens, but this we will send you as a homework because we are a little bit behind of the time. But what I'm going to show you is a question like, hey, how can I see my Vault access tokens? So I have created a bunch of tokens. How do I access them? So this is the way you can do, and a little bit more human readable one. So you can actually get back information, what it is, what token is it, what policies it applies, and etc. Good. So before we go for, because you are not after for seeing, hey, what is the policy, what is the token? You are here to see something cool, a Go application that has dynamic secret with Postgres. That's what you're after, no? Good. Again. So I need to reset this one. I just call it other. So we get something fresh new. And for now, you can ask questions because the setup will take like around a few minutes to do. And this is, anyone can do it. And it is basically a HashiCorp own example of Go application. So you can just go to this GitHub page and do your own. But we will do it here. So let's see. Just to say if there is anything. Oh, OK. Let's kill this guy because we don't need it. Yeah. And what we are going to do is, crap. We will install a Docker swarm. And this will take a few minutes. And I have time to also speak about this one a little bit. So this example will do exactly this architecture. what is going to happen? We will create an application that will receive a payment post. It will get some secrets from Vault, and then it will actually do something in database. We will see how it dynamically get a user for database created. And of course, we will do another get product, and you can see as well for getting a product, it also use the same user that was generated for a database with if you are fast enough. If you are not, you will see that how it regenerate new user. If you want to examine a little bit more about it, so there is a links there, so you can go and check out how is it set up. And let's see if it's there. So, no. Is there any questions so far? No. Before it is, so let's see if it's still active. So let's go back to the presentation till it's installing, and at the last we will see how is it performing. So good names about HashiCorp Vault, big enterprises, not all of them are listed, but these are like great names that trust HashiCorp Vault. A little bit stats about HashiCorp Vault. It was founded in 2014, the product launch, and then it has like 1 million plus download monthly. And we just added 2 downloads, so because we just added 2. And then also, let's summarize the presentation about Vault. So what is the takeaway? That it can help the operators to efficiently manage secrets. So you can use HashiCorp to optimize secret access and storage, and as well to control access and downtime. And usually, I say maximize exposure, but this case is minimize exposure. All right? Who am I? I'm a lead Google Cloud architect at Devoteam Denmark. What I do, usually a year ago, there was like this fancy thing, 10x engineer. I don't know who has created. That was like a little bit famous. So I'm around 10 plus times certified. So I'm now the cool guy. Before I was not. Okay, so now I'm the cool guy. And what I do is, in my free times, I do organize DevOps Malmö, HashiCorp Malmö, and all with the things is missing because I do not have Swedish keyboard. So, and also I do organize in Copenhagen. All right. A little bit more about me. So make sure that you are connected with me in LinkedIn, because next slide will be really exciting. And of course, just be in contact with me if you have something cool. So let's see if you are good with sharing some swags. And I want to specifically thank Yasmin from HashiCorp, because she managed to get vouchers for us. And I also want to thank the HashiCorp guys, Amir, David, Emil, and also the Alexandra from HashiCorp to make this happen. And what we are going to share is basically, we are going to share 3 vouchers for Vault certification. So 3 people can be certified. And that's quite expensive gift. And then we get 20 t-shirt vouchers. So if anyone wants to have a HashiCorp Vault t-shirt, no, it's a user group t-shirt. We have got 20 of them. One of them I did a test, so we have 19 of them. All right? All right, so we will share with that. And just raise your hand if you want to be certified in HashiCorp Vault. We will share it. And for the remote people as well, so we give 1 minute for the remote people. If you type something in the comment, we know about you, and we give you some random number. And for people here, who wants to be certified? All right, so I have a great game to go on. And what we are going to do, I have some random numbers here, 1 to 15. So please pick a random number, because we are just going to do anything randomly. So, and I use random.org. Again, browser, no command line, nothing, browser engineering. So please, there is a random numbers. Who wants to be certified? There is 3 vouchers, okay? And that's quite expensive. I think it's $80 or something. Is there something in remote? Is there anyone responding? Okay, we give another minute, so maybe the streaming is a little bit behind. You can't take 2 numbers. I mean, come on, it's free stuff. Who says no to free stuff? Just get it. I mean, I would never say no to something free. So let me see if this is good. Let's see. Yeah, I can give you one. Do you want to be? I give you the number 16. Or you want another number? 17. Okay, then we have another one. Then you have it. Please. There you go.
Thank you.
Anyone wants to have the number 16? Come on, it's free. Yeah, but 3 people will be lucky, so you can try your luck. Anyone? Nice. There you go. Is there online people reacting? Anyone? Okay, good. Then 3 certificates for us. So what I'm going to do is let's share the voucher, and then later we do the demo, okay? Because demo, no one cares. So what we care is about the voucher. So random.org. If you haven't used it, it's a very simple random stuff. So numbers, integer generator, 1 from 17. Let me see if there is number. Okay, so the first number is 3. Who has the 3? Nice. Okay. Okay, allo selected. So everyone is ready. We go the number. So we go to the next one. But 3 cannot get the second time. Okay, so it's only once. So don't go and sell outside and yeah. All right. 16. Oh, where was the? Oh, I told you take the 16. I knew because this is what I do all the time. So I know how randomness is working. All right, good. The next one. Are we ready? So, and keep in mind to contact me afterwards. I have the things to share. And 13. Nice. So please, 3 of you, you are the luckiest ones. So you can get the voucher. And it's completely random. So yeah, I don't choose anything. Okay? Good. So, but beside that, people who are upset that they don't won, we have 19 T-shirts. All right? That you can order. We have a voucher for it. And the first 19 people who will ask about the voucher for T-shirt, I will just give them. Be fast. That's it. Jungle style. Jungle style. Yeah. Yeah, so keep, I cannot now share, but like, yeah, please come to me afterwards and then I will share it. Yeah? Yeah, I have to share a link and a voucher code, and then each of you can order 1 T-shirt. The actual plan was to get it here so we can share it here, but since HashiCorp is located in US, it takes some time. Yeah, it takes quite time. I think 7 weeks or something, but yeah, whatever. Good, so let's go back and use these 2 minutes for our demo example. So let's see. Let me just quickly see if we have hello world. So let me just copy this one and see if we have it. It's here. So let's close this one. Yeah. So we have it running. So what I'm going to do is there is this GitHub repository. So why is my thing broken? Okay. Browser for the win, man. It's always going to work. Yeah. Okay. Foo Café, let's go. All right. Let's clone it. And let's see what is the status of pizza? Okay, good. So what we are going to do is send it as a homework, but I will try to do. Okay, do we want to get to the pizza or we want 2 minutes to wait? 2 minutes? Okay, good. And let me just run the install. So, holy crap. So, what? The Docker command is not installed. Okay, so everything has to be reinstalled again. It's 10 minutes, so pizza doesn't want to wait. What I'm going to do is, in case if you are interested to see this whole Go application, how it's working with dynamic secrets, feel free to come to me. I will show you. Otherwise, there is a really great example. So go and do a homework, and this is just a public gist. I have it, so you can just search about me. It's very easy to find me, so you just go to Gangsta, and then the first one is the one that is for today. All right? For T-shirts, a thing to remember, there is a URL for the T-shirts is in the gist at the very bottom one. It doesn't include any voucher, so don't go and spam it, okay? So there is no voucher. Voucher I will give you separate. Good? Oh, I need to talk again, man. You don't want to hear me next time. All right, good. Thanks, everyone. And let's go for the pizza. Yep. And for questions, just ask it there because we don't have time and pizza is not waiting.